I'm going to start with my personal blockchain story because I think it really resonates with why IBM is in this space. So I found Bitcoin, like many of you, in 2014 when I moved to Turkey. And I had to figure out a way to transfer funds from my Turkish bank account back to the US to pay my student loans. And I was really sick and tired of paying SWIFT fees every month. So a friend suggested Bitcoin. And I looked at it and I got really excited about Bitcoin, but I couldn't figure out what would happen if I sent it to the wrong address. And so I never used Bitcoin. And I think that gives you a good example of why IBM is interested in the blockchain space. So we have been doing projects on blockchain for many, many years. We've had a business unit dedicated for 3 years. And we're really focused on how do you actually take that technology, like many of my peers up here, and make that viable for real-world enterprise use cases. So there's 3 key things that we really are focused on that I think are critical. So first and foremost is open source and open governance. That's why we're a big part of the Hyperledger project, because it's really important that if you're going to run your production systems, you have a way to influence and change what's in those systems. And so Hyperledger and the Linux Foundation, which have been doing this for 25 years, really provide that framework which makes it straightforward to govern the technology. The second is the question around trust. We've thrown trust around here a lot. And I think very often there's a dichotomy that tends to emerge. People talk about public or private. But that's not actually the real world, right? We live in a world where there's a spectrum of trust. Let's take a couple of examples. Anybody can walk into a public park, right? Now, you might get kicked out if a police officer might come if you're graffitiing the walls, but anyone can go in. So that's kind of one version. The second is you can go into a bar as long as you show ID that you're 21 or over to go there. Again, there's a criteria based on age, capability, etc. And then the third is the idea of a members-only club where you have to have a direct membership, etc., to join that club. All of those different types of trust and access are in the real world, and they need to be reflected in blockchain. And so that's part of the work that we're doing with Hyperledger Fabric to make it much simpler and more straightforward to replicate the trust models that exist in our human society in this technology space. And then finally, we're really focused on the use cases that go beyond cryptocurrency. So we are interested in taking advantage of the 4 key benefits that we see from blockchain: consensus, provenance, immutability, and finality, to help companies, to help industries, and to help really cross those boundaries to be able to share data and to transact in trusted ways that really can start to transform industries. So we have 4 big solutions which we are really focused on building. We're looking at global trade digitization in the shipping space. We're bringing food safety to the food supply chain in North America. We're working on identity, and then we're working on financial payments in partnership with Stellar and others. So we are really committed, however, to the Hyperledger model of how you actually build and run blockchain solutions for business. There's a clear framework for not only how you govern it, what the possibilities are for trust, but then also where you can go in terms of building your applications.